Hi everyone, I am the Reddit guy, and I am bringing your way interesting, unbelievable, and mind-blowing Reddit stories. Let's unveil today's story. Story 1. The airplane cleaner stole my AirPods. About 6 months ago, I had a layover in Houston. After deplaning and going through security, I realized my headphones had fallen out of my pocket. I submitted a lost item claim with United Airlines and gave a description of the color of the silicone case they were in, the plane information, my seat number, the whole thing. I also set them to lost mode and included my phone number so they could call me. I emailed United a few times stating that I could see they had moved from the plane to what seemed to be United office space. I now realize it was probably employee lockers. After about 24 hours, I saw them go to an apartment building. I watched them go from the apartment building to the airport back and forth and tracked the schedule. I gave United the address of the employee, their schedule, and the days they had worked. Surely the home address and schedule were enough to pinpoint who it was, so they could at least deal with it internally. I was not exactly excited to get the AirPods back if they had been wearing them. United told me that because the AirPods had left the property, they would not do anything, and I had to file a police report with the Houston Police Department. I live in Arizona. They closed my claim. I use Find My a lot for various AirTags and things, so for the last few months, whenever I see my lost headphones with the earbuds out, I hit play sound on the earbud and blast the wearer's ears. I see them quickly go back into the case. If they had called me when they found them, I happily would have sent them a reward, enough to buy their own basic pair. I understand they are expensive and not everyone can afford them. I am slowly working toward making them go deaf so no one else loses a set of headphones to them. I think this is the pettiest thing I have ever done. Comments. Commenter 1. A friend of mine lost his AirPods on a plane. Based on the location and address, he was able to find names of suspects. A little searching online and on Instagram, and he found the culprit. Holiday pictures in the same location as the AirPods. He sent a message to the guy saying he would inform his employer. He got the AirPods back in the mail. Commenter 2. Yikes, I would not want the thief to have my home address. Commenter 3. Or have it delivered to your nearest post office. Now the thief knows your name, address, maybe even your phone number. Substantial damage could be done with that information. This is my opinion about the story. This is one of those stories where frustration turns into long-term pettiness, and honestly, it is hard not to understand why. Being ignored after doing all the investigative work yourself would make anyone feel powerless. Still, the situation shows how messy things can get when accountability falls through the cracks, and how tempting it is to take justice into your own hands when no one else will. Story 2. I gave my friend a haircut, and now everything feels different. My friend, a 32-year-old man, recently lost a family member he was very close to and did not get the chance to travel for the funeral. It hit him pretty hard. I am a 31-year-old woman and we live a few hours apart. I told him to come spend the weekend with me so we could talk, have a drink, cook a couple of meals, and just generally not be alone. He agreed, we set a date, he bought tickets, and he came over. I hosted him at my place. He slept on the sofa bed, I slept in the bedroom, and we had a blast. It was a lovely weekend. However, on his first night there, we were talking about haircuts, and I mentioned that I have been doing my own for years. It looks okay. I also did my brother's and dad's hair during the COVID lockdowns. He asked if I could give him a haircut so he could save a few dollars. I said yes, although I warned him that I can only do simple haircuts and nothing too elaborate. He said that would do. The next morning, I sat him down in my bathroom, gave him a towel to wrap around his neck, and then it hit me that I would have to touch him for this. There is nothing wrong with him. His hygiene is great, his skin looks fine, and his hair is very healthy. We are just not very touchy people, either of us. I do not think we had even hugged before that, and we have known each other for years. So as a first physical contact, this felt like a lot. Every time I had to touch a different part of his head or face, I would say, "Sorry, excuse me, so sorry, do not mind me, just trying to get this bit right." And he would say, "It's all good, don't worry, you're being very gentle," which was reassuring. I left a playlist running in the background, and that seemed to relax both of us. I noticed his hair was very soft and smelled kind of nice. When I looked at him in the mirror, I saw that he had his eyes closed and was breathing deeply, like he was enjoying having someone play with his hair. He did not seem worried at all about how the haircut was going to turn out. I was very focused on getting it right. When I finished, I told him he could wait for me to sweep the floor and then take a shower to get rid of the tiny hairs that inevitably get everywhere. He asked if he could put his shirt in the washer so he wouldn't get hair in his other clothes. I said sure. He took off his shirt, shook it out a bit, and handed it to me as I was finishing the sweep. He got in the shower and I went to start the washer. I noticed my own shirt also had tiny hairs on it, so I took it off and threw it in too. When I was measuring the detergent, the bathroom door swung open and he asked me something about the hot water, which was not running. So I went into the bathroom to check, fixed it, explained what to do next time, and left. He had only a towel around his waist and I was in shorts and a bra. It did not feel weird. No one blushed. This happened a couple more times throughout the weekend. The haircut turned out fine. He loved it, said it looked very professional, and when we went out that night to meet mutual friends, he told everybody I was the one who did it. I saw him checking his reflection a few times and looking satisfied. He was chattier, laughing more easily. He looked so happy. It was such a precious sight. I was just glad I could bring him some joy. He said he did not remember the last time he felt this at peace. Life has been rough on him lately. He is still grieving. After that weekend, I noticed we casually touched each other a little more. He held my hand when I was going down some stairs in high heels. I held onto his arm reflexively when someone told me shocking news. He put his hand on the small of my back when we were getting into the subway. I fixed the collar of his shirt when it was crooked. He hugged me goodbye for several seconds. These do not sound like much, but again, we are not touchy people. While all of this felt really nice, I did not understand how giving him a haircut moved the level of intimacy from never even hugged to, okay, seeing each other half naked and casually touching. What happened here? This is not inherently an intimate activity. Professional hairdressers do this every single day without any of this emotional shift. I was not complaining. It was nice that we felt closer, but the curve from where we were to where we are now was steep. It happened fast. I did not think this was a typical friendship anymore, at least not by our standards, but I also didn't think we wanted to date. Nothing romantic happened. We didn't kiss, we didn't sleep together, nothing even close. We had the opportunity, so if it didn't happen, I assumed it was because we didn't really want it to. But I didn't know what this relationship was anymore. I was very confused. I struggled to identify my own feelings. I couldn't comprehend how things changed so drastically because of a simple haircut. Thank you all for letting me vent. Comments. Commenter 1. You showed him kindness when he was grieving. That haircut and you touching him probably made him feel 100 times better when he was feeling so low about losing someone and not being able to be there for the funeral. You showed him you are a kind, compassionate, and caring friend who is there for him at a low point. Commenter 2. This is a beautiful comment. Try to look at the situation purely for what it was, being there for a friend. Do you happen to struggle with anxiety? As someone who does, your thought process felt familiar. The overthinking, the jumping to intrusive conclusions, apologizing for touching his hair during a haircut, wondering if small gestures mean something bigger. Anxiety can make you overanalyze and turn something simple into something overwhelming. I'm not diagnosing you, just offering a possible lens. Wishing you the best. You are a kind, compassionate person. Reply from original poster. I apologized many times not because I thought small touches suggested an impending relationship, but because I'm autistic and have sensory issues. People who touch while talking, certain textures, clothing tags, bed sheets, ocean water drying on my skin, liquid soap, anything that touches my skin can make me very uncomfortable. He knows this, and he has never made a point of expressing affection physically before. The touches after the haircut were minimal and fleeting, so they didn't trigger discomfort, but I'm not sure how I would have felt if I had been in his place during the haircut. Commenter 3. You never said whether you're attracted to him.
Do you think he's handsome? Is he boyfriend material? Or do you only want him as a friend? These are important. Figure out what you want and set boundaries accordingly. If you want intimacy, things are going well. If not, maybe introduce subtle boundaries, like mentioning someone you're interested in. From what you said though, I think you like him. Reply from original poster. I find him very handsome. He's conventionally attractive and very committed in relationships. He's funny and smart. I would introduce him to all my single friends. On some level, I think I love him, and I think he loves me too, but it feels familiar and comfortable, not romantic. I just got out of a long-term relationship. He's still grieving intensely. Neither of us is in the right headspace to date. Update. Around the same time I wrote the original post, I was laid off. My friend works in a similar field and told me his company had openings. I applied, went through several interviews, and got an offer. Better pay, better hours, better benefits. So I moved to his city. I stayed at his place while I looked for my own apartment. The first night there, I decided it was time to talk about the haircut situation. After reflection and therapy, I realized my feelings were shifting. To everyone who said this sounded like a love story, I was wrong. It was exactly that. I was just slow. After a few glasses of wine, I asked him if he had been feeling different since the haircut. I admitted I wasn't sure my feelings were purely platonic anymore. He said his feelings had changed too. He felt closer to me. He didn't even realize we were being more touchy until after he got home and reflected on it. He apologized in case I made him uncomfortable. He hadn't. The next day was my first day at the new job. He asked me if I wanted to go on a real date that night. I panicked and said yes. The date went beautifully. We laughed, we danced salsa. After one particularly fun song, he kissed me. I kissed him back. Everything melted. I won't go into further details, but it was mind-blowing. A few weeks later, I found an apartment and asked him to help me pack. He looked at me and asked me why I wouldn't just stay. We were already sharing rent, bills, the bed, rides to work. It felt natural to him. He didn't pressure me, he just wanted to know if I felt the same way. I worried, what if it didn't work? We work together now. The fallout could be huge. I felt overwhelmed. Then one night I came home late. He'd made dinner for me. He smiled so wide, toothpaste dripped down his shirt and I wiped it off while we laughed. Later, as I ate, I tried to think of reasons I wouldn't want to come home to him every day. I couldn't find one, so I stayed. Now my friend is my partner, and his place is our place. I know it hasn't been long, maybe it's reckless, but I'm carefully optimistic. Thank you all for being here for us. Final comments. Commenter 1. I wasn't expecting to ship a couple in this subreddit today. Congratulations. Commenter 2. Sounds like you found your person, and it was someone who was there all along. Best wishes for a happy life together. Personal commentary. This story is such a beautiful reminder that intimacy doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it begins with quiet kindness, shared grief, and something as simple as a haircut. The slow realization, the honesty, and the courage to lean into what felt right. That's what makes this one so special.
Story 3. My boss told me to stick to my job description when I asked for a raise, so I did. Now he's mad things aren't getting done. I have been pulling double duty for 6 months since our senior developer quit. I have been fixing legacy code, training the 2 new interns, and generating the weekly client reports, none of which is actually in my job description. Last week, I finally asked for a market adjustment. My boss gave me a 10-minute lecture about budgets and ended it by telling me to focus on the core responsibilities outlined in my contract instead of worrying about money. Bet. I immediately stopped fixing the nightly build errors, which are not in my contract. I stopped answering the intern's constant Slack messages, which are not in my contract, and I definitely did not run the client report this morning. I just received a Slack message marked urgent, asking where the data is for his 9 a.m. meeting. I am about to reply with a screenshot of the core responsibilities section of my contract.
Wish me luck. Comments. Commenter 1. Good luck, original poster. I hope you have something lined up. The job market is rough out there. Reply from original poster. Fair point. I am definitely not trying to be reckless, but honestly, I'm the only safety net they have right now. Our development team is literally just me and 2 interns who started last month. If they fire me, the entire platform stalls. It's a skeleton crew, so I'm betting they cannot afford to lose the only person who understands the legacy code. Commenter 2. If they cannot fire you today, they will look to replace you with one of the interns as soon as possible. You are not obedient enough. Reply from original poster. Let them try. The codebase is 5 years of undocumented spaghetti code. It took me a year to understand it. If they think a fresh intern can decipher this mess in a few weeks to replace me, they're welcome to try. I'll be watching from a safe distance. Commenter 3. Assuming this is in the United States, let us hope he doesn't fire you. If he's not prepared to pay you for a senior role, he doesn't get senior responsibilities done. Reply from original poster. Fingers crossed, but honestly, if he fires me, he's firing the entire department. It's just me and 2 interns left. He would be shooting himself in the foot, but knowing him, he might just do it. Update. Sorry for the delay and for the original post getting removed by the moderators. I wasn't ignoring the comments. My Slack was blowing up and I had to spend half the day in meetings with human resources and the director, so Reddit was the last thing on my mind. For those who missed the first post, I asked for a raise. My boss told me to focus on the core responsibilities in my contract, so I stopped doing all the senior level architecture and client reporting I had been covering for months. The 9 a.m. meeting that morning was a disaster for him. He ended up looking unprepared in front of the director because the client data wasn't ready. He actually tried to throw me under the bus during the call, but I had the receipts ready. I calmly told the director that I was following my manager's explicit instructions from earlier that week to prioritize my contract duties over external projects. Management later tried to bring up the other duties as assigned clause in my contract. I pointed out that other duties doesn't mean permanently absorbing a senior developer's entire workload for 0 extra pay. I didn't say it aggressively, but that was the message. They haven't fired me. They literally can't, because it's still just me and 2 interns who have no idea how the legacy code works. Instead, they scheduled a role reevaluation for Monday morning. It feels like they finally realized they can't bully me into doing 2 jobs for 1 salary anymore. I'm still applying elsewhere because this place feels like a sinking ship, but it feels good to finally just do the job I'm actually paid for. Final comments. Commenter 1. I'm very interested in seeing the update to this update because role reevaluation really sounds like a fancy way of saying they're evaluating whether you should continue your employment there. Commenter 2. No, they will rewrite your role to include all the duties they want you to do and either offer a small pay bump or just tell you this is your new role. They won't fire you, but you'll definitely want to leave soon. Reply from original poster. That's exactly what I'm expecting. If the new role is just my old job plus the senior developer's job for the same junior pay, I'm not signing it. I've already started polishing my resume and reaching out to recruiters. I'm done being the bargain bin senior developer. Commenter 3. If you're doing that much of your boss's work, it sounds like you should have your boss's job. Reply from original poster. I know, right? I'm prepared to resign and get a new job if this continues. Personal commentary. This is a textbook case of be careful what you wish for. Management told him to stick to his contract, and he did exactly that. While it feels satisfying in the moment, it also highlights a bigger truth. Companies often rely heavily on quiet overachievers until they finally push back. Whether he stays or leaves, he's already done the most important thing. He set a boundary.
Story 4. Apparently, booking a seat on a train is not a real booking if someone else decides to sit there. I was traveling from Edinburgh to London by train, and I had booked a window seat with a table. I got on the train and found 4 guys sitting at the table. The one in my seat, which was clearly marked as booked, refused to move because he was with his friends and the train was packed. The ticket collector passed by and I asked him to help. He asked the guy to move, but he refused, and somehow that was that. "So what now?" I asked. "You can find another seat, but I have no power to move him. Only the police can move him, and they will not turn up just to move someone out of a seat." There were no seats free in the carriage, and probably not many free on the train, so standing all the way to London was a real possibility. "I am going to take a seat in first class," I said. "Better surroundings, power sockets, and free tea and coffee." "You cannot sit there, you do not have a booking." "Well, you could call the police to move me, but apparently they will not turn up just to move someone out of a seat." I had a lovely trip, with power for my laptop and a wide, comfortable seat. Comments. Commenter 1. And because your seat was not available, you can reclaim part of the ticket cost, I think. Commenter 2. How do the staff not have the authority, though? You agree to follow their instructions when you buy a ticket. It does not seem like they should require police to enforce basic rules. Commenter 3. I used to work on the train from Belfast to Dublin. The conductor would not let the train leave if someone was breaking the rules, such as walking into first class or harassing staff. Many times, the police would be waiting at the next stop. It is frustrating for other passengers, but that makes their walk of shame even more enjoyable. Personal commentary. There is something oddly satisfying about using someone's own logic against them. If the rules cannot be enforced for one passenger, they become very hard to enforce for another. It is frustrating that basic courtesy failed in the first place, but at least this story ends with a comfortable seat and a quiet little victory. This brings us to the end of our stories. Thanks for watching all the way through. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated with new Reddit stories.